Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, stop! Stop, folks! Stop! Back up!
I just saw and I heard, and we all crouched down. Everybody was crouching down for a good 5 seconds. And in my head, I was thinking, we gotta get out of here. So I started yelling, we gotta go, we gotta go. And all my friends and people surrounded, they started running away. And we all traumatized, we just all heard the shot, crouched, and then we all started leaving the building, so.
Everyone was just jumping on top of each other. No one was trying to get shot. Everyone was just covering each other up because no one knew if there was gonna be more shots fired.
No, I actually was just walking up. I was going to the event with a friend. And so I was in the back of the crowd still walking to get closer when I heard the pop of a gunshot and people started screaming and running. But people just kept clearing out, screaming, running. I went up and talked to some guy who was closer since some people thought it was a firework and didn't really know what happened.
I wish there was a better security. I was a little surprised when I walked into the courtyard and there wasn't any metal detector. There were securities around the building, but it wasn't really solid.
Question everything is the thought that comes to my mind. Question everything. Remember, the whole thing started out with a deception, with a lie by the devil, the enemy of souls, Satan himself. And Jesus in Matthew 24, as he was describing the signs of the times, at least 4 times in that same chapter, he mentioned deception. Beware lest any man deceive you. The Apostle Paul, in writing to the Thessalonians about the things that must take place before the second coming of Jesus, he also mentioned deception. Let no man deceive you by any means. That was the first sign that he mentioned there.
This wasn't just about silencing one man. It was about distraction, division, control. The media points fingers at the left and the right, but the real war isn't left versus right. It's elite versus the awake versus the asleep. In the Assassination, that was predictive programming, problem, reaction, solution at its finest. Stage a shocking event, flood the media with fear and rage, then roll out the solution that was waiting all along. Digital surveillance, censorship.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
We were just about to walk in. Interestingly enough, they waited to pull the plug on this right as the studio audience was about to walk in. It wasn't like this morning or last night. They waited for everyone to come into work today, They didn't tell us what had happened. They just said that the show was canceled. Initially, my concern was, I hope everyone's okay, no one got injured. As they told us the show was being canceled, at the same time online, they announced that it was indefinitely, which we can probably assume is forever, taken off the air because of certain comments that were made, which I was not aware of. And then I went to go look to see what those comments were, and they didn't really seem to justify, the means. It seemed to be a bit extreme.
Now is the time to get together. Now is the time to find people that are just like you, who feel the same, and join with them and drag them along tomorrow, 4:30, right here. Be in protest, standing with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel, speak
and go after anybody that is opposing them.
So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility. And there is no civility in the celebration of political assassination. Get involved. Get involved. Get involved. It's the best way to honor Charlie's legacy. Start a chapter of TPUSA or get involved in the one that already exists. If you're older, volunteer for your local party, write an op-ed in your local paper, run for office. I can't promise you this is going to be easy. I can't promise you that all of us will avoid Charlie's fate. I can't promise you that I will avoid Charlie's fate. But the best way to honor him is to shine the light of truth like a torch in the very darkest places. Go do it.
I pray to move on from this phase, but it's a fire in my belly right now. To those of you who think that you are going to replace Charlie Kirk, okay? Kings are born. You don't just get to depose and tell us that we're going to follow this individual, okay? I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA. I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
Flood the media with fear and rage.
If you look up to the top left, you'll see the building where the shooter was proned out in the top left corner. We'll go ahead and play that video and I'll narrate as we walk through that. So here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black t-shirt, his black pants, and there appears to be some white on the soles of those Converse tennis shoes. Those are all identifiable items that we're looking for. In the stills that are going to follow this, you're going to see a very distinctive t-shirt with an American flag and appears to have an eagle on it. There's also a baseball cap with a triangle on it and a pair of sunglasses. All distinctive, all things that we would ask the public to look for and try to identify if they know someone who has those items, who has been seen wearing those items. We're looking for all that information. Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot. We're going to pan to the right. After he crosses the street, this is where he moves over into the wooded area. This is the video evidence that we utilize to track his movements and to locate that firearm in that wooded area following the discovery of this evidence.
We appreciate the media and the partnership we have with you in helping us to get information out to the public so that we can catch this assassin and hold him accountable. We are going to share a portion of a video and that we have of the suspect, as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public in tracking down this evil human being. More than anything, we are going to catch this person. Last thing I will just say is we've been working with our attorneys, getting everything that we need, affidavits ready, so that we can pursue the death penalty.
You guys okay? Okay, love you. Be safe. Be safe. Are you inside or outside?
problem, reaction, solution at its finest. Stage a shocking event, flood the media with fear and rage, then roll out the solution that was waiting all along. Digital surveillance, censorship, AI monitoring, pre-criminal social scores, emergency powers. Watch how fast they move now.
The fallout from Charlie Kirk's killing has spread to the workplace. People are getting fired for comments that seem to celebrate or glorify the assassination of the MAGA activist and father of 2 young children. These companies and organizations have reported either terminating or suspending employees for posts about Kirk, and that includes Middle Tennessee State University firing a worker they say had, quote, zero empathy for Kirk's death. Conservative activists, Republican lawmakers, and even a doxing website are flagging the comments in what critics say is a campaign to punish those posters.
As we continue to learn more about the alleged assassin who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, we're also seeing a cascade of people being fired for their comments, appearing to celebrate Kirk's passing, including Office Depot, which fired a worker for refusing to print a memorial poster. Also, the NFL's Carolina Panthers football team said they fired an employee for a social media post appearing to mock Kirk's death. And then Bengals player nonprofit, the Joe Burrow Foundation, also fired an advisory board member who they say made inappropriate remarks in light of recent events.
In the days following the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk, many workers have been fired for their comments on his death. It's far from the first time workers have lost their jobs over something they said publicly, including in social media posts. But the speed at which the firings are happening does raise questions about worker rights versus employer rights.
Then the replacement. Kirk's support for Israel. But let's not ignore another uncomfortable truth. Charlie Kirk himself. He was a staunch supporter of Israel, and that matters, because Israel sits at the crossroads of global power, intelligence networks, and elite manipulation. His assassination ties into more than just American politics. It connects to the same geopolitical web that has fueled wars, destabilized nations, and shaped narratives for decades. Some figures are propped up, others are taken out. Either way, both outcomes serve the system. So ask yourself, was Kirk targeted because of his influence, or because his death could be weaponized to accelerate the agenda? Agenda 2030.
In a document called The First Global Revolution, authored by Alexander King and Bertrand Schneider, in searching for a new enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine and the like would fit the bill. All these dangers, of course, will be caused by human intervention that will require a global response. That's the origin of global warming, ladies and gentlemen. In 1975, Australia agreed to bring in a new economic order via the Lima Declaration on the Second Conference of the United Nations Industrial Development Organisation. The outcome of this was, as I said, the Lima Declaration, which was the blueprint for the redeployment of tools, jobs and manufacturing to the developing nations, leaving countries like Australia short of technology, a manufacturing base and jobs. For everyone here tonight not familiar with Agenda 21, I would suggest that this is the beginning of your learning curve, not the end. In 1992, Maurice Strong, Secretary General of the UN Earth Summit and member of the Club of Rome, said, "It is clear that current lifestyles and consumption patterns of the affluent middle class, involving high meat intake, consumption of large amounts of frozen and convenience foods, use of fossil fuels, ownership of motor vehicles, small electrical appliances, home and workplace air conditioning, and suburban housing are not sustainable." Put those statements together with the previous one, and it must become clear that Agenda 21 is about controlling every aspect of our lives.
This is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. It is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And this is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. And so many of us around the world think that, well, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas. All systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all. Because when systems don't meet, when they're out of balance or not in sync with one another, they can't be controlled centrally. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government and total control from a central unit. Every nation that signed on to Agenda 21 has its local Agenda 21 plan. The three pillars of United Nations Agenda 21 are economy, ecology, and equity, the three E's. And everyone sort of thinks that they know what that means, the idea of social equity. It must mean that, well, everyone's going to have access to clean water and clean air, and no one's property is going to be used as a dumping ground because they are at a poverty level. But really what social equity is about impoverishing huge portions of the population and bringing down the developed nations. Everything that we're looking at now is destined to collapse our economies. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. And what major corporations want in this development is to be able to have full movement of workers without borders or boundaries, to be able to move their goods through without regulations, and to reduce wages. And so this is the goal. So this is what you find with social equity. And of course, economy and ecology is about, these are the three circles: economy, ecology, and social equity. And where they meet in the center is balance. But really that balance is a communitarian balance. So it's not balance of well-being of the people. What it is it's a balance for corporations so that they can exploit and control and have populations in an area, in tightly packed, dense areas, so that they can be surveilled and managed. And this is what that balance looks like as far as the development of a totalitarian state is.
So ask yourself, was Kirk targeted because of his influence, or because his death could be weaponized to accelerate the agenda? Agenda 2030, the digital cage. The truth is, this isn't just about Kirk. It's about timing, because the elites have a deadline, Agenda 2030. By the end of this decade, they want a cashless society, total surveillance, AI fact-checkers embedded in every platform, centralized control over food and energy, and restrictions sold under the banner of climate emergency. Kirk's assassination isn't random chaos. It's an accelerant, a shock event designed to push public consent just a little further towards the cage. The playbook is always the same. They manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, then present the pre-packaged solution. And every solution just happens to strip away one more layer of freedom. Safety for sale. Gun control next. Which brings us to what comes next. Don't think for a second this ends with digital money or online censorship. No. The next call will be for safety. And in America, that always means one thing: more gun control. They'll say it's about preventing another Kirk. They'll say no one should ever face this kind of violence again. But behind the tears and the outrage is the same machine, moving to disarm the population under the guise of protection. Because a society without the right to defend itself is a society that cannot resist when the digital cage slams shut. And the American people, they're told to clap along, wave the flag, and pretend the theater is real. The wake-up call. Charlie Kirk's death wasn't the end game. It was just the bait. The chaos is the theater. The solution is already written. Because every crisis, every assassination, every war, every disaster is just another brick in the wall of the digital prison being built around you.
The Bible tells us clearly, when we read the prophecies, that deception will be the theme. And we are seeing, as a result of the Charlie Kirk assassination, we are now seeing a more rapidity of this grand delusion, a strong delusion. These are the last days, brothers and sisters. Let no man deceive you by any means. For that day, the second coming of Jesus Christ, shall not take place until there come a falling away first, and the men of sin be revealed. Deception is the theme in these last days. Let us not be caught off guard. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman needeth not to be ashamed, but rightly divideth the word of truth.